I'd like to welcome all of you to another community call organised by the local group active in Redbourn. The calls are free as a result of generous donations from many Redbourn residents, and thank you for all who have donated to keep these calls free. The Parish Council has also given us a grant and will be continuing the calls for the foreseeable future. Thank you, Redbourn Parish Council. More of this later. The call is now also available live on the Redbourners Facebook site, and afterwards it can be found as a recording there, and on the Active in Redbourn website too. Okay, I'm not sure if you could hear me or not, so I'm going to go straight into the introductions to the guests and say that today I should be speaking with David Mitchell, who in addition to being District Councillor is Chair of the Redbourn Parish Council. Will Gibbs, Vicar of Parish, and his thought for the week, and it always makes me think about things, which is the point, I guess. But first, I'm going to be joined by John Briffett, who runs a particularly interesting project hidden in plain sight in the middle of the village, and I'm really looking forward to that. So let's get on with it. John, good morning.
Good morning, Chris.
So, how are you?
I am very well, thank you very much, and hope everybody else is listening.
Yeah. Now, you are, I say it, and I don't say it lightly, you are hidden in plain view in the middle of our village. Could you tell me what you do and where you're based?
Yes, certainly. We are known as the repair shed, not the repair shop, I would hasten to add. And we are based in St Luke's School, which is, as you say, in the middle of your village.
Not.
Sorry, it's on the outskirts of your village, and it's a school for children with special needs. We've been here busily working away with the school. They kindly agreed to allow us to use their workshop, which used to be the DT room when it was a secondary school. And we make things and repair things around the school which get broken quite a lot because the children do seem to manage to rip door handles off, wreck gates, pull hinges off. And we've got a bench at the moment which is wobbly all over the place, and it was brand new. But the children seem to have jumped up and down on it and made it all loose.
Well, I suppose they are kids after all, aren't they? So I'd allow them to have their childhood. But it feels, I have to say, that feels like a real win-win relationship.
Yes, it is. I mean, we were extremely lucky, and we are the envy of a number of repair sheds around the country for the facilities that we do have here. Yeah,
sure. So what sort of things do you say? What sorts of things you make things? What do you do with them?
Yes, I mean, obviously we are part of actually a charity called Community Action Decorum, or CAD, which is based in Hemel Hempstead. And to keep our charity running, we make bird boxes, bug hotels, planters, hedgehog houses, and all those sorts of things. We're contemplating trying to have an online shop, but we haven't got anywhere with that one yet. And we are actually going to be at your market in Redbourn High Street this Saturday.
Excellent. I'll pop down and see you. That's excellent. That's really good news. And you're going to go on a website, but you're not sure when, I presume. But that'll be in the future.
No, I mean, the situation is that the repair shed was originally set up for men in Australia, and it then migrated over to the UK for men who don't have an outlet for their social needs, and they sit at home and get lonely and do not a lot of anything. So the emphasis isn't really on sort of mass-produced stuff. You know, we're not a sweatshop. It's basically for men of a certain age to socialise, really.
So that works quite well with the school, because the school has a social intent as well. So the school gets the benefit of you, and the men also get the benefit of the school, don't they? That's really quite good.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, the school benefits. I mean, even this morning, I've just made a frame for a pin board, and they like it so much they want another 5.
That's wonderful. That's like with uncles when they hear the kids say more. you know they liked it, but you really wish they didn't like it that much. Anyway, now, do you need any more volunteers?
Well, yes. I mean, we have 2 sites actually, and we're working on a 3rd one. We've got one down at Sunnyside site, which is behind the K2 restaurant in Emmel. And we are opening another one up later on in Northchurch, up on the allotments as you drive up towards Ashridge. But the one in Sunnyside, the waiting list down there is very long, but the waiting list for Redbourn is actually not that long. We do have a list because, people are keen to come and join us. But, yeah, if people want to come and join us, then put their names down and we'll add them to the list.
And presumably they come along and see what's happening and see whether they like it. I don't know.
Yeah, what we tend to do is we say to people, well, come down, have a look at our workshop and see what we've got. And we have got an extremely wide range of equipment here. And if they decide that it's for them, we then say, well, we'd like you to come down one morning and have what we call a taster session, where they come down and make a bird box or something. And then if they decide that they're happy enough to continue, then they become a member.
Oh, excellent. And how long? Maybe you mentioned it, I missed it. How long have you been going?
No, the site at Sunnyside, which was the first of our ones, was started in 2015. But it wasn't until 2018, when St Luke's offered us the site here, which was actually quite by chance because the then head saw on the television about men's repair sheds and looked on the internet and found us being a local shed and offered the use of the workshop.
So that was the head earning their keep, wasn't it? That's good thinking. That's really good thinking. And
well, it was.
Yeah. It was, wasn't it? Do you take specific briefs or commissions, obviously apart from the school?
Yes, we do. I mean, we've actually made the awards for the Conquer contest, Conquer Fest you had last year. We've made a trellis for a gardening competition at the NEC, and the lady who commissioned it, who lives in St Albans, actually won a silver medal with our trellis in our garden. I won't necessarily say our trellis convinced the judges, but it kind of done me harm. And we make bird tables, and we're also, we made last year Christmas trees for the Redbourn Christmas display. And
in the Cumberland Gardens, was it?
That's the one, yep. And
they were wonderful. They were a really nice piece of work. I was amazed when I walked through and saw them.
Well, people like them so much that we've actually now got some more wood of the appropriate type, and we're now in the midst of making some more.
Ah, okay. So, you're sounding like, was it Victor Kayam? You liked it so much you made hundreds of them, but it's fantastic. I mean, I thought it was a great idea, and I hope you sell lots, because it's nice to see a good idea carry through.
Well, they do look very nice, actually, and if someone's a bit clever with a bit of electrics and put some lights on them, they look even better. And I mean, we made some for the school because the school liked them so much they wanted some as well. So, yeah, we're in mass production mode.
Talk about making a rod for your own back, making a Christmas tree for your own back, but you've done it. That's good. That's excellent.
Indeed.
That's really good. So effectively, you're in the market for new volunteers, and you're in our market on Saturday morning, which we're looking forward to. And look, thank you for this. That's really, really good.
Could I also just mention, if there's anybody out there that's got any old tools sitting around in their shed or whatever that they don't want, then we're always open to receiving tools, because obviously we run short. And also the ones that we don't use, we pass on to another charity, which is based in Cheshire, which collects tools up and
yes.
in containers to Africa and the like.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Okay.
So
Well,
everything gets recycled or repurposed. We don't tend to throw hardly anything away.
I respect that. That's good thinking. That's really good thinking. So, excellent. Right. Will, are you there?
I am, yeah.
Good morning, Will. How are you?
I'm well, Chris, thank you. Nice to be here, as always.
Well, we've had a good old chat about the repair shed, not shop. It's your job now to make us think, so looking forward to it.
Well, I'll do my best. Good morning, everyone. Last week I mentioned the cricket and the fact that Redbourn had narrowly won an amazing quarter-final match in the National Village Cup and were off to play a semi-final in Somerset. Well, as you may have heard, they made light work of that semi-final last Sunday afternoon and have now achieved the stuff of dreams, the chance to play in the final at Lord's a week on Saturday. We wish them the very best of luck. It's a terrific achievement. They are clearly a very good team, and what struck me when I watched that quarter-final on the Common was how young they were. They always say, you know how you're old when a policeman looks young, but these cricketers look very young, and with it, very agile and energetic in the field. I love playing cricket, but leaving aside any pretensions or fantasies, I'd never get in that side in a million years. It's a shame, really, because cricket's one of the sports where a good mix of youth and experience generally goes down very well. The strength of the Redbourn team bears strong testimony to that and to the wonderful work in the Colts and the junior sections of the club and all the time and coaching that's been given by volunteers. There are several players in the Cup team who've worked their way up through the different aged teams. I remember playing for our school first 11 against a team of veterans called the XL Club. As the name suggests, they were all over 40 and were very canny operators. We were a bit sniffy when they turned up, but they gave us a very tough game, and years of experience meant they knew where to place their shots when batting, even if they lacked some of their old power in those shots, and when bowling they could drop it on a sixpence ball after ball. A mix of our best players and theirs would have made for a very good team. The mixing of young and old is something that I'm passionate about. It's something we try and do quite consciously at St Mary's. I'm reminded of that beautiful encounter between the 40-day-old Jesus being presented in the temple by Mary and Joseph and coming across the elderly Simeon and Anna, who both saw in Jesus something more than a baby, but the light that the people of God had been longing and waiting for. 3 generations are present in that moment of encounter, and all are blessed through it. To give this idea of mixed ages coming together its fancy name, it's all about intergenerational or cross-generational mixing. There is a lot to commend it. You can enjoy the energy and optimism of young people blended by the skills and experience of older people, as long as it's done in a way that feels mutual and open. We see that in our all-age services, and we loved seeing that at a coffee on the Common, and we long for the time when that can resume. Many organisations have cottoned on to this, and there are new care homes being built with children's nurseries next door. In fact, that was the case at St Matthew's until they needed the extra space for new rooms and facilities for the residents. But I know they're still enjoying visits from the young children, pre-COVID, that is, and enjoying activities together. I've also seen it firsthand with our day centre on a Wednesday at St Mary's, and the older attendees always become more animated and really perk up when we ever have a visit from the children from the primary school coming down to sing. I've also seen it in family life, and the relationship between a grandparent and a grandchild is such a special and important one. A grandparent is someone to be trusted and respected. It's usually a relationship with lots of unconditional love, but they generally don't have to do so much of the tough stuff like discipline and rules. In fact, grandparents I've seen inwardly delight in spoiling them a bit on the quiet. Just don't tell your mum, they say, as they slip in some sweets or another chocolate biscuit. In many ways, they are the best sort of listening ear, and non-judgmental presence in a young person's life. We've gone full circle with multiple generations of families once again tending to live nearby. Of course, back in the day, several generations would be living under the same roof. And I'm not just talking about Charlie in the chocolate factory and his 4 grandparents, top to toe in the bed. And then work patterns changed, and we became more mobile, and many working parents perhaps live further away from their parents. But these days, many seem to be close by again, and are often involved in some of the wraparound childcare so that both parents can work. I know there are quite a few generalizations in all that I'm saying, but nonetheless, that pattern I'm describing will be familiar to many of you. And I have to say, I think we're better as a society for it. And I'm saying all of this because we need to recognize that we all matter, and we must not lose sight of this value of our different generations in our society. In these COVID times, we don't want different ages to be behaving in different ways. We need to be safe and strictly follow the government guidelines, whatever age we are, and not be casual with them just because we may be younger or in better health and willing to take the risk that if we get infected, we'll be strong enough to cope. Very sadly, there has been a rise in infection rates in Hemel Hempstead and Berkhamsted and Tring in the last week or so. Through the track and trace, they've been able to narrow it down to one group of 18-year-olds out celebrating on the night of their A-level results in mid-August who didn't observe social distancing. The effects of that one night are still being felt. As schools go back and universities resume, we must be really careful and be considerate to others, including people in different age brackets than our own within our community. We've seen the best of intergenerational support in the depths of lockdown, with so many younger volunteers coming forward to help the care groups support the elderly and isolated with shopping and prescriptions. Perhaps yet another good legacy of all that we've been going through, and it's been tough, will be a sense of young and old together, and that each can offer to the other so much. Being together and united, young and old, is the only way that we're going to get through this, and we will, together.
Spot on. Absolutely spot on. Wow. Only you could start with a cricket team and end up with COVID.
I'll get cricket in there somehow or other. I had no idea, Chris, that your guest was actually, it's so relevant. So you've got chaps working in their workshops in a school environment of school-aged children. Uncanny that what I wanted to say should follow so neatly on from that idea. Yeah, call it the Holy Spirit, or I was lucky, or serendipity, or whatever. But yeah, very nice to be able to tie in so well with your first guest.
Brilliant. It's a couple of weeks to the actual cricket match starts, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's unfortunately, because of the restrictions, nobody's allowed to go into the ground to watch it, which is a great shame. But there is a link so that it's going to be live streamed, so people can watch it on their computers from home. It's happening on Saturday, the 19th of September, and of course we wish Redbourn the very, very best of luck. Not that they'll need it, of course. They don't need luck. They've got enough skill to do it anyway.
Now, I think I'm right in saying that one of your predecessors was pretty big in the cricket team.
He was, yeah. A chap by the name of Frederick Beauclerk. He was vicar of St Mary's, but was very rarely here. He was better known as one of the gentlemen cricketers of his time and one of the founding members of the MCC. I think he had a curate here who did all the work, and he was gallivanting around playing cricket and dining and gambling. So it's a sort of a model of ministry I perhaps could get into, but...
I don't think it would be good for minister.
No, maybe not.
Well, thank you very much. It's been wonderfully interesting as always.
My pleasure, Chris. And thanks for hosting the call this week for us.
And now, over to David.
Hello, Chris. Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm very well.
So, look, first question I want to know is, how did you get into local politics?
That's actually quite a good question, really, because even I'm not sure about that. But I was, a few years back, well, about 15 years ago now, I don't know whether some people who lived in the area back then remember the Buncefield Oil Depot blowing up, which caused a lot of damage in the area, and I was caught up in that. And I found myself sort of involved in dealing with, local politics, local lawyers, going to meetings about it, and following the court case and all the rest of it. And somehow it sort of triggered an interest in local issues more than I'd realised. And so when I saw an advert in the parish newsletter saying that they needed parish councillors, I thought, well, I'll give that a go. I was actually coming to the end of my career, and I thought this would be quite an interesting thing to do, because I do like meeting people and helping people if I can, and sorting things out here and there. Sort of, I like to keep myself active and involved, and that's really how I got into it.
That's excellent. Now, you are a district council and you're the chair of the parish council. What's the essential difference between those two roles?
Well, they're huge, really. I think the thing is, with the parish council, which, as you say, I chair, it's, we're relatively quite small, and everything we do is really sort of focused in, on Redbourn Parish, mostly Redbourn Village. Whereas obviously, as a district council, which I've been at just for about 18 months now, it's looking at the whole of the district, so it's bigger issues, more political. I mean, I've been quite surprised, really. I'm an independent. I've been quite surprised that the Lib Dems and the Conservatives don't seem to like each other very much. At the moment, there's a Lib Dem administration, and a couple of years ago it was a Conservative administration, and no doubt it'll swap round again at some point in the future. And they do seem to be at each other's throats. Whereas the parish council, there are members of political parties on it, but the majority of people are actually independents, and none of us make decisions based on our political parties. What we do is we meet and discuss the issues that are relevant to Redbourn, and how we can solve them, how we can improve what's going on, and that sort of thing. So it feels very, very different. And to be honest, I find the parish council work much more enjoyable than the district council work. It can be quite a chore, some of the things at district council, long meetings, lots of agendas to read, and you've got to get your head around sort of finances and all sorts of things, really. So there's quite a contrast there, but I guess, in their different ways, I enjoy both the roles. And I do think that they overlap, and it helps me. I think, being both district councillor and a parish councillor, I find that I'm often dealing with the same issues, but rather than, as a parish councillor, having to approach the district council, I can, deal with it directly. So, it can be quite useful.
No, I can see that. You can see both sides of the coin, and that level of connectivity is actually very helpful, isn't it? In fact, you precluded my next question, which do you prefer? It's pretty obvious which you prefer.
Well, they've both got their merits.
I'm listening to the parish.
They've both got their sort of, their interests and their merits. But district council can be more like work, whereas the parish council can be, we're busy, but it's quite sort of fun.
When I'm talking.
Okay. All right. I'm having a good old chat with David now. So, right now,
I can't see it.
How has
hoping
continued its how's it maintained its continuity of service during the lockdown?
Through the COVID situation, did you say?
Yes.
Well, the parish council. You're talking about the parish council, right? I can hear a lot
talk was very
of
good.
people
Peter.
talking. The parish council, when we realised that we were heading for lockdown, we had a meeting, and we sort of all got together with the care group and people like that to see how we could address everything, and that worked really well. So we knew there was a lot of contingencies in place to be able to deal with what was going on. But of course we had to close the parish centre, so that meant all the hirers of the parish centre could no longer use it, and also our staff had to work at home. So it was a strange period really, because many of the usual things that we do just couldn't happen.
Yeah, it's a shame really. What do you think are the biggest challenges we've got, notwithstanding COVID, but once we crack COVID, what are the biggest challenges we've got in Redbourn specifically?
Well, I think the biggest thing, as far as I can see, is just how much Redbourn expands over the next few years and even decades, because a lot of people may be aware that that the district council has proposed quite a lot of housing in Redbourn Parish. At the moment, that's all on hold because it's not been considered to be feasible at the moment. But that could change quite soon. But I mean, I think that I know that most people in Redbourn would like Redbourn to remain a village. Obviously, we need some housing, but whether we need to make the village 3 times the size that it is now is a big issue, and that's what we're looking at. Whether Redbourn will be expanded
That's
enormously.
Yeah, that's an interesting point you made. So in what ways do you think you can get people to sort of make a contribution towards the village? How can they get involved? Because I mean, a lot of us know about the parish council, but it's something that gets done on our behalf behind the closed doors. Now I know it's not, but what would you, if you've got the opportunity to say to people, what would you say to them to do?
Well, I mean, if people were interested in becoming councillors, I'd be delighted because, quite often not that many people are interested, and occasionally we have vacancies that we advertise.
But you're not going to be approached, have you, for a minute?
Hello. Can you? I don't know who you are, madam, but if you keep a little bit quiet because we can't hear the person who's speaking. Hopefully you're enjoying what he's saying. Okay, back to you, David.
Yes, I mean, so I would encourage people, if they're interested in some local politics, doing things in Redbourn, to actually, next time there's an opportunity to try and be a parish councillor. You don't have to be a member of a political party. As I said earlier, most of us are independent. So it just requires really an enthusiasm for getting involved. And then, of course, the other things that we do try and encourage working parties and community action groups in the village. We can't do everything because we're not that big, but I think it's good when the parish council can facilitate things or act as a catalyst for other things going on. So I think it's quite an important role that that we sort of get people together, if you like, but not actually micromanage it, because I don't think that is feasible.
No, I think catalyst is a very good descriptor, actually, just giving people the platform to do things for the village. Tell me now, finally, what's the funniest or the strangest thing that happened to you as a district or a parish councillor?
Well, the problem about that is that I think the strangest things that involve people that, and I can't really talk about it. So I think I'm going to have to sort of opt out of that question a little bit. I mean, the thing is that what I've found really quite hilarious in recent times are going to all these Zoom meetings or Microsoft Teams meetings with the district council or wherever, and finding that you're with people and they don't seem to realise you can see them eating their dinner, or I've even seen one person, a district councillor, actually sitting on a couch with his wife as if he was watching television, and then you start looking at the backgrounds to people's houses and things like that, and notice the beer bottles in the background. I find that quite amusing. And then, of course, some people have forgotten, like it's happening today, if you like, that they're not on mute, and if they say something, it will be heard by everybody. That led to some funny moments, I think.
It's funny. It's quite the opposite of these carefully crafted interviews you see on television, where you just know that everything behind has been stage managed perfectly
Yes.
to create an effect. It's quite funny, isn't it?
It's like with people arranging their bookshelves.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
they their whole life reading. It seems to me half our politicians were librarians in a former life.
It does seem like that. And curiously, quite often there's a copy of their latest book that just happens to be very prominent
Well, nobody else
on the bookshelf.
Okay, well, David, thank you very much for coming. We're just over time now, so I'd just like to thank you and John and Will, and particularly for everybody for dialing in. And I apologise that I'm a beginner with this malarkey, and I couldn't find the mute switch properly. So I apologise if I didn't get that right, but I will certainly learn for the next time I'm doing this. And I'd just like to ask you to spread the word if you enjoyed it and give us some feedback and suggestions. Our email address is info@activeinredbourn.co.uk. And the reminder that the number to call in future weeks from a mobile, if you can, which is 0330 336 036. It's the same pitch we've been using. It's just a little bit cheaper. It means we can have more people listening without running out of money. And finally, I'd just like to remind you the Redbourn Care Group telephone number. They're there every day, and if you need any help, just call them on 01582, which I guess you all know anyway, 794 550. That's 794 550. So, thanks for taking the trouble to call in. Stay safe, and I hope you enjoy the warm weather that is actually coming up. We're going to have a little bit of an Indian summer, so enjoy it in the next few days, and hopefully listen to what's happening next week. Bye.
Thanks, Chris.
Cheers.
Bye, everybody. Thank you. Good luck for the cricket team. Absolutely. Cheers, David. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.